10x is easier than 2x. How world-class entrepreneurs achieve more by doing less. By Dan Sullivan, founder of Strategic Coach, with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. This audiobook includes a supplemental PDF that includes charts, graphs, figures, a link to additional resources from Strategic Coach, and the acknowledgments from the print edition. For Babs, who makes 10x possible. When you shoot for 10% better, you're in a smartness contest. You're putting all of your people in a smartness contest with everyone else in the world. They're not going to win. It doesn't matter how much money you give them. If you shoot for 10 times bigger instead of 10% bigger, it's almost never 100 times harder. And the payoff is 100 times. So you already know you've got a better return on your investment. But sometimes it's literally easier. And the reason is because that perspective shift is actually cheap relative to you being smarter than everyone around you. Dr. Astro Teller, Captain of Moonshots and CEO of X. Introduction. 10x is the opposite of what you've been told. Always make your future bigger than your past. Dan Sullivan. At age 17, Michelangelo became fixated with secretly obtaining and dissecting human cadavers. Violating a corpse was a crime punishable by death in Florence, Italy in 1493. And if one were willing to risk it, how could it be gone about? Watch the poverty fields for burials? He asked an elderly friend, Marsilio Ficino, whose father had been a prominent doctor. Ficino could not believe what he was hearing. My dear young friend, you cannot conceive of yourself as a grave robber. But Michelangelo was desperate. This dialogue was from Irving Stone's biographical novel, The Agony and the Ecstasy, but indeed, Michelangelo would rob graves to get bodies if he could find no other option. Learning anatomy was essential to his aim. He'd just begun working on his first life-sized, three-dimensional sculpture, a 9-foot Hercules. Prompted by the recent death of his sponsor and mentor, Michelangelo planned to do the project to memorialize Lorenzo di Pietro de' Medici. Before attempting his Hercules, he had done some smaller sculptures, none three-dimensional, and none he'd ever been directly paid for. This was his first major project with a professional mindset. He was no longer thinking or operating like a novice or an amateur. He convinced the foreman of the Florence Duomo.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?